Hello, folk of the internet. Welcome to Telling Tales and welcome to Symbaroum, our tale of a dark fantasy world full of, horrible things. I am your GM, Matt, and joining me on this adventure of administration of other people's fun is John, our stream manager. Say hi, John.
Administrator of other people's fun sounds amazing, and it should be my job title.
It's my life. That's what I do. John will be helping us and popping images up on screen and managing people and doing all kinds of fun stuff backstage. And without any further ado, let's roll out our player characters one by one. First off, let's bring out our resident gruff, traumatized barbarian warrior. Barbarian warrior? No, Ambrian warrior. That's incorrect. It's Steo, or Chris. He's also called Chris.
Yes. Hello.
Hello. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking.
That weirdly rolled off my tongue like I was saying, how are you, Chris? How are you, Chris?
Yeah. Topical question mark?
There's nothing Christian about what we're about to do. If the 80s have taught me anything, if moral panic of the 80s have taught me anything. How's Steo doing? How's he feeling about this impromptu demon hunt that just happened?
He's in bits, just physically in bits. Mentally, he's probably doing pretty well because he's back in force march.
Yeah, he's dropped into survivalist mode.
Or even just like, I am not the worst wounded person here and I can still walk, so I'm just going to shut up for the meanwhile. So fingers crossed you'll not be hearing too much of me if I'm doing my roleplay job right.
You are certainly not the most wounded member of the party. Speaking of the most wounded member of the party, let's welcome Ephenea, the big barbarian lady with a big old weapon, also known as Elle.
Who is slightly less big and with slightly less large of a weapon.
Yeah, you've had some chunks taken out of you for sure. Yeah. So how's Ephenea feeling after her encounter with the horrific Blightborn monstrosity that tore a chunk out of her torso?
Pretty ill.
Obviously,
Anton has done some work on her, so she's a little bit less ill, but she still has somewhat gaping wounds in.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing where like you had chunks torn out of you, and then a priest came along and like have a salve. How much is that going to do?
Holy water.
Yeah, this'll do it. This'll help you. There's Ephenea. Wonderful stuff. Speaking of that priest, these segues. Let's bring out Anton, or Mike, as he's also known, who is the healer of the party and our resident roller of terrible, terrible dice.
Hello. I would be rolling very good dice if we were playing another dice system.
If we were playing Dungeons and Dragons, they would indeed be good dice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Do you think though, Mike, that if this was Dungeons and Dragons, the roles would be inverted? Do you think it's the dice themselves, or do you think it's something about you personally?
Are you saying that I'm a cursed player, Matt? Because that's how you make me feel sometimes.
I don't want to limit it to role-playing, Mike.
A cursed being. Right, great. Yeah.
Sure. Well, in keeping with Symbaroum. So what's Anton's sort of internal reaction to all this? He just saw some elves. He just saw a horrific abomination for the first time. This is what he's here for, kind of.
I think he feels pretty far from home right about now. Probably a bit of a nervous wreck, a bit shaken up, feeling a little bit queasy, and feeling very, very vulnerable in a place that he's not familiar with.
Priest out of water.
Yeah.
I'd
go with that.
That works. I haven't got a segue for our last player, but that's fine. Maybe one day I'll make it all the way through and we'll segue all of them. But our last character is Askarai, the ranger, who's also a changeling. Not that any of the other players know that yet. Or do they? Did I say this last time when we worked out that Ephenea and Steo do know? Or don't?
I can't remember.
I don't think they know.
No one knows.
He wears a mask and he carries a bow. And also his character does. It's Sam.
Hello.
If there's any weird noises on the mic, it's because my cat is treating the entire house as an obstacle course, but that's fine. So Askarai's probably maybe bumped into more of these horrific Davokar-based abominations and elven encounters than anyone else in the group. So is this just another day for Askarai, or does this feel a bit, a little bit intimidating?
I think he's mostly concerned that it feels like he's quite likely to get dragged into something that is going to be a bigger commitment than he realized when he thought he was just going to go and hunt down these two random barbarians that would cause a bit of trouble. And now it's like there's some horrible crown that is potentially corrupting a bunch of people in Thistlehold, and it's more than he bargained for. So
I don't know what you mean. So. Speaking, but we should talk about the horrible crown that's corrupting people. So let's have a recap, just a quick recap, because this session's kind of, although the overall campaign is still, as one, that was a kind of like story arc-ish that ended last week, just a little two-session story arc. But we'll give a brief rundown to give a setting for where you guys are now. So you all come from Thistlehold, the city on the edge of Great Davokar, and you basically had to go running after a couple of barbarian brothers who were sort of wanted by the City Watch after they got attacked just in the middle of a tavern by a bunch of rabid animals and a shape-shifting elf. You went after the brothers. You were warned off going after the brothers by another couple of elves who turned up and basically said, "You don't protect them, or we'll kill you." Bit more threateningly than that. And then you found the brothers. They were evidently a bit ill, one of them more than the other. The elves summoned a horrible snowstorm, killed one of them, and then the other one turned into a massive, ravening, blight-born abomination beast. And once it was all over, one of the elves was dead, the beast was dead, and Ephenea had valuable bits of her removed. Yes.
Like my soul.
Yes.
My will to live.
Yes. I said valuable.
Yes.
So, yeah, and that's basically where we are. You had another companion, a witch hunter called Balmello, who said he was going off to do witch hunter stuff. But if you wanted somewhere to stay before nightfall, because you're probably not going to get back to Thistlehold before nightfall, there's an inn almost directly north of you on a road called Jackad's Heart. And unless anyone has any objections, shall we pick up with you guys as a group walking up the road, approaching Jackad's Heart? Does that sound good?
Yep.
That
sounds good.
Okay. So you're traveling north on this road. It's a road that's probably Steo and Ephenea and Askarai know, sort of well. And it's definitely a road that once you go far enough north will take you to Thistlehold. But for now, the skies are darkening. Overhead, it looks like maybe some rain is coming in. And ahead of you is a relatively large palisaded enclosure. Okay, so lots of kind of large sharpened pieces of timber rammed into the ground. It even has a gate and a kind of gatehouse over it. And over on the other side of it, you can see like smoke gently rising, from a chimney or a campfire or some such. The only other thing of note, I should say, the landscape is all kind of like open, grassy fields, not necessarily actually tended and farmed, but just kind of rolling landscape. There is a figure kind of banging on the gate quite loudly and shouting things, but you're not close enough to determine exactly what. And roleplay.
Well, I believe that I'm quite injured, so to be honest, a lot of Ephenea in this scene will just be just breathing heavily and trying not to.
Yeah.
Jesus, what was that? Yeah.
That's my wounded warrior noise.
Okay, well in that case, the entire scene will just be me going
yeah,
over and over.
That's entertainment.
Gentlemen, I have just finished doing basically 2 nights worth of unpaid mercenary duty. Could someone else please deal with that vagabond at the gates?
You don't think we're getting paid?
Oh, that reminds me. I did get some Thalar off the elf.
You absolutely looted a dead body. Yep.
We should cut that up once we get a table. If we can get into the inn, this place looks like it's shut up for the night.
Yeah,
as you get closer, you can see the figure, which is looking kind of bedraggled and wearing kind of a flowing robe with a bit of a hood. He's also got a kind of slightly bushy, greying beard, and he's kind of banging on this gate, shouting, honestly, a little incoherently. He's shouting about needing to see the shrine, needing to see the water, and also at one point says she needs it, and carries on banging. Any barbarians among you, i.e.,
Yes.
can give me a vigilant roll, and you know what? It could just be a standard vigilant roll. No modifications. I said
No modifications. Hokey hokey. Do. 2.
2. That's definitely a success.
Nice.
The robe he's wearing is almost certainly a witch's robe. It's not very common for witches to be men, but it does happen. It does happen. However, witches aren't also usually randomly banging on in gates and shouting slightly incoherently about stuff. So yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to assume that I've kind of been slightly supported, probably by Steel, because he, I think, is probably the second largest among us.
Also the second most gravely wounded.
That too. We're brothers in arms. It's fine. All right, cool. I don't like Ascarai, so the priest. It's fine. So I'm gonna tug on his robes and she'll be like, "Witch. That's just so you know. That's a witch. I don't have anything else to say about the matter, really." And now I'm just gonna keep quiet again because I need energy.
Mm-hmm.
Beckon Ascarai and Steo closer and make sure that I'm whispering this quiet enough to not be overheard by this.
I probably
person.
wasn't.
Ephenea believes this person to be a witch. What does this mean?
Are they going to be trouble, Effie?
I mean, I personally couldn't say that. It's. I don't understand what they're shouting about. I don't see why they'd give us trouble. It seems that they're preoccupied with their own troubles right now, as are we. I gesture to me and Steel.
With a great creak, the gates kind of open, and the man staggers back a bit. A woman comes out, quite kind of a stout, well-built woman, maybe in about her late 40s, with faded blonde hair that's tied back in a harsh bun, dressed in very kind of traditional Ambrian clothing with a leather smock over it as well, as many innkeepers would wear. She starts to berate the man about being loud at her gate, and then turns around and kind of sees your group approaching, and kind of. You know what? I like giving people specific kind of roles on this. Chris, why don't you give me a vigilant roll here? And I'd say it's slightly more difficult. So let's put it at a -1. -1.
Oh, I just rolled a 1, friendos.
Nice. Okay. Well, let's count. I know that the kind of criticals and fumbles thing is primarily for combat rolls, but I think I'm going to just improvise them here by giving one slightly more information. You take in her bearing, the way she's standing, the way she instantly registers your weapons with her eyes. She's definitely former military. Definitely former Ambrian military.
Okay.
She kind of looks at the guy banging, takes a step away, at which point he takes the opportunity to kind of scramble inside the gates, and walks forward and says, "Will you be wanting food and board?"
Food, board, and as much medical attention as you can spare at this time on a night.
Well, I'm not so sure we have anyone who can heal wounds quite that bad, but sure.
Well, Anil will heal me right now.
She kind of nods. She nods at kind of who's got an easily noddable at weapon. Yeah, you're talking. So she kind of nods at Steo's, his dagger and his. I'm assuming you're carrying your halberd.
I'm probably using it to steady myself at the
minute. She nods at them and says, "They stay down or scabbarded. Got that?"
Nope, there'll be no bother from us. We've had quite enough today.
Mm-hmm. Kind of shakes her head slightly and says, "It looks it," and waves you into the gate. Assume everyone's going into the gate.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, inside, and John might be tempted to flash up the map now. Don't yet, John. I want to kind of build a picture first. So it's quite a large enclosure, as I said. As you walk in, the kind of gates creak back together behind you, and if you kind of look up, you can see that there's a gatehouse with a mechanism for closing the gate. There's a little bell to ring in case of alarm, and there's a boy of about 7 years old or so, kind of peeking over the top of this very small rail at the side of it, who's obviously there, has worked the mechanism. The encampment itself, or the enclosure itself, there's two big buildings in it. One kind of dead ahead to the left of you, which is very obviously an inn. It's got about 3 stories. It's a very well-built building. The smoke is coming from the chimney from there, and the doors are open, and you get a kind of waft of food and drink coming out from there. That directly to your left, there's a relatively large kind of stable enclosure. Nothing particularly to say about that. There is a horse in it. In fact, 2 horses in it. And it's just a regular stable. Ahead of you and slightly to the right is, you get the sense maybe this is the shrine the man was talking about. It's not a very impressive shrine, but it is very recognizable to those of you who know such things, as it is a shrine to Prios. And it's quite small, built of stone though, but basically large enough for one person to go inside it. Just on the outside of it, in front of the doorway, is to call it a pool would be a bit excessive. It's a pond. It's a small pond. Chris, you had a question.
I just would love to know where amongst all this lovely stuff our witch friend has managed to scuttle off to, if he's still visible.
You can't see him at the moment. Just behind that shrine is a couple of very large banks of like a garden, a planting area. It's full of. It has plants like sunflowers, but it also has what look like a lot of very practical plants for cooking and for making alcohol and all sorts of very interesting things. It is extremely verdant, and all the plants are very large and healthy looking. There's a figure kind of hunched over, working at it quite gently. And as you watch, they kind of unfurl themselves to a huge 8-foot shape. And the ogre kind of picks up one bucket, moves it over, and folds himself up again to start working with a comically small trowel in his massive hand. That's my description.
It's one of those things doing. What?
Yeah, we can pop up the map now. Why not pop up the map?
What do you reckon one of those things is doing this far north or this far south?
Holding a very small implement, it would seem. Other than that, I cannot say.
Looks like he's being put to work.
The woman who kind of guided you in kind of peeks at takes a couple of steps towards the shrine and kind of shakes her head, turns back and says, "Well, my name's Cauldra. Most of the rest here are my family. If you want to go in there, my man Tandrag will take whatever outer clothes you want and show you to a room for the night."
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll head inside.
Equally, I will follow suit.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure that Ephenea gets to a bed for rest.
Sure. When you go inside, there's as Calder said, there's a man in there, presumably Calder's the other half, as she indicated. He's a unremarkable looking guy, very placid seeming, a little bit on the larger side, and he kind of takes any cloaks you want and greets you fairly warmly, hangs them up by a fire, takes you upstairs along a corridor into a relatively large room that has kind of 6 bunks in it. They're not amazing, but they're not bad. They're perfectly serviceable bunks for the night. He kind of nods at Ephenea as she kind of gets half placed, presumably half falls into one of the beds. So presumably it's Anton helping her with that.
I thought it was. Yeah, I think I was leaning on him. So
he kind of turns to Anton and says, "Oh, good priest, we have some herbal cures if you want to purchase them for your friend."
I will do gladly. Show me to where they are, and I'll take as many as I can off you.
He nods and kind of walks back downstairs with you. What's everyone else doing? Are they kind of? I'm assuming Ephenea is just collapsing in the bed.
Oh yeah.
For the foreseeable future. Steo and Ascarai, what are you doing?
I'm kind of the pole arm is wherever it is. I'm going to kind of slump down and sit on the bed with a monumental sigh and just go to Ascarai. Ascarai, you're the least screwed out of the lot of us. Would you mind casting a little eye around the compound and see if you can't figure out what happened to our witch companion and try and figure out what on earth they're talking about? I suspect if they're interested in the water, then the news of the abomination has traveled pretty damn fast.
Yeah, I'll go and have a look for them. Definitely a curious sight to see a male witch. I don't know. Especially visiting, if he's here to visit a shrine to Prius. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Ephenea, are you even still awake? Are these...
Yeah, I'm like, I'm kind of dozy, semi-conscious, sort of.
Ephenea, are we going to end up making more enemies if we go poking about in the affairs of whoever that was at the gate?
I mean, just because I'm just going to shut my eyes and just kind of slightly agitatedly say that just because I'm a barbarian doesn't necessarily mean I know all barbarian clan.
You know more. Go ahead.
I mean, obviously be wary. He is a witch, so they come with powers that obviously you or I don't have. But I see no reason that you would be enemies unless you provoked him, as with anyone else.
Right, well, you know more about it than I do. Ask Reicher, you know yourself. We probably have common cause with them.
I'll be friendly.
Thanks.
I can find him.
And bring me an ale as well. Also, here, I'll take out the pouch of money I looted and hand 5 thaler over to Ascarai. There was 20 thaler in there. That's your cut.
Thank you.
Okay. I tell you what, does someone, I don't know if John wants to do this. Yeah, John can do it. It's what John's there for. John, can you briefly go take a just open up the cost lists wherever they are in the core rulebook. Some of them might be some of them will be in the equipment section. There might also be some in the games master section. This should be fairly easy to find. And if you could find me like the cost of herbal cures, they might just be listed as novice elixirs. Wonderful. Herbal cures are 1 thaler. That's great. Already got me. There we go. Could you also find like some kind of indication for like food and board for the night and stuff like that? Just so we can. I'd like to keep on top of these things. So downstairs, Ascarai, when you descend the stairs, Tandrag is kind of showing Anton. There are kind of some basic elixirs and things. They're all either on top of a shelf above the fire, or in the case of some of them, kind of hanging in bunches, just kind of there, kind of kept dry by the smoke and the fire. They have let's say 3. They've got 3 herbal cures worked up that he's happy to part with, and yeah, they cost one thaler each, which is pretty expensive. But if that's what you want, that's what you want.
I'm happy to pay for some with my share, as obviously it is me that needs healing, and
sure.
Yeah.
But Anton doesn't know that. So what's he going to
do? Is he not with me? Oh yeah, he's gone.
No, this is downstairs.
Yeah, I'll take 2, I think, which is quite a lot of my money.
Sure, but you should have some money coming to you from Stio anyway. So
yeah,
I'll say to Anton when I see him buying them, I'll say, I think Stio has your cut upstairs from one of the barbarians or the elf.
Tandrag definitely kind of raises an eyebrow at this, but doesn't kind of say anything. He raised an eyebrow at the word "cut," which but he does kind of just nods to himself and carries on. Ascarai, as you I think you'll see you're passing out and kind of just taking a look around the enclosure a bit more carefully.
Yeah, seeing if I can find this witch
Sure.
anywhere. Probably by the water and the shrine.
Sure. So as you enter the kind of courtyard area, you hear some kind of slightly raised voices coming from the shrine, and Cauldre seems to be trying to drag the witch out of the shrine by the scruff of his neck.
I will go over and say to Cauldre, "You need any help? What's the issue?"
She kind of glances over to you and says, I suppose you could give me a hand with him. He's drunk or some such. The witch is kind of flailing his arms in the air and saying, "No, I must have the water. I must prepare the wellspring for the coming of the mistress."
He's lost it. You're
quite close to him now. You can see he has very bloodshot eyes, pale lips, quivering hands, and there's dusty traces of something on, like, around his nose.
Okay.
Surely.
I will give Cauldre a hand, just kind of dragging him back out of the shrine. Or
sure. Do you want to give me a strong roll? With Cauldre helping you, it's not very difficult at all. And he's kind of rangy, but he doesn't seem to be. Yeah, he's kind of an older guy, and he's clearly not in full possession of entirely of his faculties. So you can go ahead and take a +4. +4.
So going to be close. I do not make it.
Okay. Well, he still gets dragged to the gate, but you're pretty sure that your contribution to the matter is fairly minimal. Cauldre seems to be a fairly strong woman, and between the two of you, you're more kind of guiding than actually doing any of the lifting or dragging of the guy. He carries on like wailing and thrashing around until you get to the gate. It creaks open as the little kind of the 7-year-old lad kind of peeks down at the display, and Cauldre kind of tosses him out, shakes her head, and the gate closes up again. For a couple of seconds, you hear him continuing to wail, You're not entirely sure he's aware that he's not still in the compound. And then kind of silence. Cauldre looks over at you and says, well, yes, thank you, I suppose.
No worries. You get many like that around here?
No, we get some interest in the spring, but not usually like that. She kind of tilts her head over to near the shrine, and you can see over there there's kind of the ogre is kind of, he literally has his hands resting on top of the shrine, and he is kind of peeking around the side of it at the gate where the man's gone. And she goes, Mangold, it's all right. Go on, back to your plants. He gives out a kind of low noise, almost like a cow, and kind of turns round, slight smile on his face, and quite happily goes back to rummaging in the dirt with the plants.
Okay. Well,
he must be protected at all costs. I love him.
If you get any more trouble, you can come find us in our room. We'll do what we can. I expect the priest will come visit the shrine at some point, but I expect he'll be at least a little more in control of himself.
She nods and says, well, I appreciate that. If you don't mind, I have work to do.
All right. I'll leave you to it. Head
Okay.
back inside.
As you head back inside, Anton seems to be finishing up his business with Tandrag. And I believe you've got a round of drinks for Steo to purchase. I think Steo sent you for beer as well.
Yeah, so I will buy some food and drinks for Steo. And I guess can I take some for Athenea as well? Up to
yeah, sure. Like food for all of you is kind of covered by the overall cost, which is 5 Ortegs each. Incidentally, Ortegs being the lowest kind of denomination of coin, which is good. But ale is extra. Ale is 2 Ortegs. So go ahead and deduct that however you like. I don't want it to turn into a precise cash calculating game, but I think at the beginning it's quite nice to establish these things, and then people could just kind of tick them off. As the two Ascarai, are you heading straight back up? Or are you kind of hovering with Anton while he gets food? And
I'll probably stay with Anton, probably help him carry stuff up
Sure.
if he's getting a load of food and drinks for everyone.
Yeah. As you're kind of gathering the drinks together and getting food, you hear a man's voice going, that's better. And if you just look around, you can see coming out of the privy is a tall, quite handsome man with long curly hair. One of those people who's kind of impossible to pin down his age. He's dark-skinned and is wearing a similarly sort of dark velveteen sort of outfit with a kind of a flowing cloak. And he also has it sounds like such a cliche. No, let's give him a harp. He's got like a little... Chris, what's a small harp called? Isn't that a specific instrument?
A lyre might be what you're after.
Thank you.
You could go for a dulcimer if you want.
I'll go lyre. I like lyre. Hashtag go lyre. So he kind of walks out and kind of leans on the bar and kind of takes note of your food and drink and says, "Oh, gentlemen, staying here for the evening?"
That's right.
Well, he takes a cup on the bar, which seems to be kind of semi-full of wine. You can't help but notice there's another couple of empty cups next to it. He takes a sip and says, "Well, let me know if anyone in your mighty company wants to employ the services of the famed minstrel Black Hawk." There is in the stillness after this declaration, there is a slight sound from Tandrag, like,
Is Epinea actually like He, where is she?
No, you and Steo are up in the room, I believe.
Yeah.
But you can certainly hear someone talking loudly.
Yeah. Damn.
Well, thank you for your kind offer, sir. But we must return to our companions now, and perhaps we will see you later on this evening.
I just shake my head and walk upstairs.
He kind of shrugs and tips his wine to you and says, "Oh, you'll return the tales I can tell, gentlemen!" He shouts up the stairs after you.
I also love him. He must also be protected. He's great. I wish F&A had been there.
So you return to the room. You've got food, you've got ale, or mead, or wine, or whatever your chosen poison is, and not poisoning you. Just in case you think that was like a strange slip of the tongue. Yeah.
Thank you. You are a godsend. Look, there are 5 thaler for each of you. Shuffle the rest of the money out while I'm attacking my food.
Has Anton produced the potions, not the herbal remedies at all?
I have them, but I must wait until tomorrow to treat you further.
I'll give you like one of the thaler and just say here. We can't have you paying for our wounds. Thank you for your aid and assistance.
I appreciate that.
You kind of set the herbal cures to one side. They it has to be said they fill the room with a not entirely pleasant smell. You begin to get the impression perhaps that is why they were by the fire, where the smoke masked their scent. They have an odd kind of bitter, sour smell to them, which isn't a contradiction to other herbal cures you've worked with. They all kind of stink.
What did you get from the witch?
Not much, really. They were just kind of out of their mind. They've been thrown out now. They were just ranting and raving about needing the water to prepare for something, but I don't know.
We could have done with getting them in for the night. Maybe it's different water. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. Maybe I am too tired and too nearly cut in half for this nonsense.
I don't think they had any kind of reason we would understand for wanting that water. I don't think it was to do with the abomination.
Too much in the last 2 days has been stuff I don't understand.
True.
What was the shouting about downstairs?
A minstrel of sorts.
Black Hawk, sir. Black Hawk. He's at the doorway. Leaning on it, kind of. He's definitely not sober, but he's not kind of falling off his feet either. He peers into the room and says, "A most unlikely little group."
I will prop myself up further. Did you say he was handsome?
He is quite handsome, yes.
I will prop myself up further.
In a fluffy, floofy, Ambrian kind of way.
Are you going to attempt to flirt while partially disemboweled? Because I want to see these dice rolls.
Absolutely. I am a 20-year-old horny barbarian girl.
You're very nearly 2 20-year-old horny barbarians.
It's 2. I'm not going to flirt. I'm just taking in the good looks while I recover. It aids the recovery process.
Sure. He kind of wanders a couple of steps into the room, kind of peers at Effenair on the bed and says, "Oh my, that's quite some war wound you have there, young lady."
Yes, well, I'm sure you can write a song or two about it. Our great adventures.
Perhaps I shall. Perhaps I shall. A lonely, wounded barbarian girl in an inn in the north. There's something there. There is certainly something there. Yes, yes. He sits on the windowsill with a kind of oof.
Yes, definitely. Well, you'll have to sing me it sometime, good sir. Yes, I must sleep now. It just kind of, I've turned a slightly shade of magenta, and because I'm young and don't speak to men very often that I'm not fighting with, and just kind of sit back.
Yeah, sure.
Excuse me, I think I must go and investigate the shrine outside and make my bed.
I must leave.
Got a man to see about a shrine.
Hang on, Anton. I wanna take a look. Want to get an ale refill as well. I'll stumble to the floor. You can tell that there is a definite air in the way I'm speaking that I am basically doing this as an excuse to get away from the band candy.
He says,
get in, I've made everyone so awkward that they have to leave.
He, as you rise to leave, he says, the shrine, Jackad's shrine.
Yes.
Thereby hangs a tale. He is all but.
Okay, I'll sensing my companion's discomforts, I'll beckon to Blackhawk and say, "You tell your tale to me, good sir. My friends here are going to investigate the shrine. Surely they will miss your regaling. They wanted nothing more than to hear it, but I'm sure I can pass it on."
I'm literally assuming that Anton and Steo have gone by this point and just like left.
They're like halfway down the stairs.
Sure.
They're out of. They're just out of the flipping enclosure.
He wanders out. He says, "Of course," and wanders over and kind of sits on kind of the night table next to the bed and kind of gets out his light. You do notice. Well, tell you what. Give me I think you're both there because Askarai, I'm assuming you're just kind of
I'm
sat on the bed
sat
on
on bed, like
your
beginning to eat, mostly trying to not pay attention to this guy.
Sure, yeah, that's fine. But you know what? You can make a vigilant roll as well. Yes. So give me both of you give me a vigilant roll. But you know what, Asker, I'll give you a bit of a penalty because you're not kind of right next to him. So can you take a -3, let's say?
Okay.
That still leaves you with a huge amount of vigilance. But yeah.
I rolled a 1.
Great. Elle, you're on mute. Duh.
I pressed the wrong button. I'm good at this. It's a good time. I rolled a 6.
There we go. Okay.
It's 10. So there we go.
You both notice, and he's not doing it surreptitiously. He's not like stealing from you. He's taking his payment, but he's drunk, so he's not doing it in a very. He literally just like picks up one of Elle's Ortegs off the night table and just kind of pops it in his pocket. Like I said, he's not stealing it. He's just taking his payment, but he's slightly drunk, so he's just not doing it in a very coherent way. Also, you notice that up close, well, you know, he's still a good-looking guy, and he smells oddly nice. The fancy clothes, yeah, they're a bit worn, a bit cheap. Like, you know, he's got this gear from some knockoff fancy minstrel clothes emporium.
He's not actually the most successful minstrel in Ambria. Is that what you're saying?
No, that is what I'm saying to you, yes. In case you were thinking he was. What I could do is sing you the song of Jacquard's Harp, but instead I will summarize it because I'm not that much committed to embarrassing myself on the internet.
I am.
He essentially sings a short song to do with a black cloak, a witch hunter called Jackad, who felt drawn to this location near Davakar by dreams and inner voices. When he arrived, he found a wellspring flowing with holy water and built a shrine by the well, and all who travelled along the forest edge were welcomed there to rest and heal and enjoy the comfort of the miraculous water. But the fate of the chapel in Blackhawk's song was predetermined, as it was so vulnerable, resting in the shadow of Davakar, and he was killed by an elven warband. The shrine was razed to the ground to avenge human transgressions, and the light of the spring dimmed out as soon as his heart was pierced by an elven arrow. He's not the greatest minstrel you've ever heard, but you know what? He's not bad. He's not bad. And he kind of finishes the song with a flourish on his lyre, and there's kind of silence in the room, and he just... as soon as you do that, he goes, "Oh, thank you. Thank you."
I want to not paying attention to him as conspicuously as possible, just so he knows.
Just so he knows that you're not impressed.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
I'm just going to be like, I'm sure our ranger here enjoyed your performance just as much. In fact, he may even want to hear it again, and I pass him another Orteg.
He kind of, he's noticeably kind of like swaying a little where he's sat now, and he kind of looks at the Orteg and says, perhaps later, young lady, but for now I feel I need the privy again. It must have been something I ate, I'm sure. He stands up and sort of staggers slightly unsteadily to the door, turns around and gives a surprisingly florid bow given his state, and staggers off down the corridor out of sight, with increasing speed by the sound of his footsteps.
I'm just going to kind of look at Ascarai and just say, what a charming man. And like suppressing a giggle.
Yeah, I could tell you were impressed.
So, yes, very impressed by his music. Yeah, that's what impressed me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
So, outside in the enclosure, it's now it's definitely starting to get dark, but there is like a little dish of oil on a ledge just on the outside of the shrine, which seems to be perhaps kept lit. You're not sure if it's kept lit all the time, but it's certainly light enough for you to wander over and take a look. As I say, the sky is darkening. Over kind of to your left, you can see still in the growing dimness, the huge form of the ogre still tending away on the plants as the two of you wander over to the shrine.
Steo, forgive me. It's been a good few days since I last paid my dues to Prios. I will sink to my knees and start to pray earnestly, piously.
I'll be honest with you, Tom. I'm just here so I don't have to be there. I'm going to go sit by the fire.
Maybe one day you can join me in a prayer, but be on your way.
You unbeliever.
So my goal is to clock the landlady and have a chat with her.
She and her partner are in the inn. There's also 3 other children kind of running around. Children who aren't the one who was on the gatehouse. So there's at least 4 kids around here. You see kind of there's 2 kind of smaller boys and one older girl, and they're busy. They're kind of busy, but also larking around a little bit. As you go back in, let's think about the time. You can hear someone singing upstairs. I mean, you assume it's Black Hawk, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah.
But who knows what secret talents Ascarai has? yeah, you sit by the fire. As you do so, Caldera kind of wanders over and says, "Another drink?"
Yeah, please fill me up. You served the King's army?
That I did, and then the Queen's.
Heavy infantry here, 172. Nearly died about 4 times.
Led an archery line.
Those weren't the days whatsoever.
No,
What's
rough as they are now, times are better.
So we arrived quite the ragtag bunch, and I must apologize. We're not exactly a military unit, but the hearts are in the right places for the most part. But what we fought out there was not natural. There were elves very south of the forest, and they had intent.
Well, if what you hear tell from the Queen's Guard and the church and your lord up in Thistlehold, the elves don't come out of the forest. We who live on the outskirts know better.
Yeah. We also traced a pair of northerners who were afflicted by some curse. Witch hunter came with us as well. There might be trouble with the water supply. I just want you to know. Take care. Stick to the ale if you can.
Oh, the spring? We barely use it, in all honesty. And if we do, we put it in small beer.
And are you not worried about that chap with the screaming and the muttering?
Whatever the wellspring used to be, and I think a mere spring and a figment of the faithful's imagination, it has no relevance now. It's just a spring that brings us business.
Yeah, that's good. I'll have another ale and take that for your trouble. I'll give her 3 Ortegs for the 2 Orteg ale.
She says, by your leave. Tucks it away and brings that. And when she comes back, she brings you kind of a little bowl of berries that have obviously been plucked off one of Mangold's plants outside. Okay. Is there anything anyone else wants to do with their evening? Otherwise, we'll roll forwards a bit.
Nope. I just
That
want
makes
to
sense.
rest and retire.
Nope, we're all good. Okay. So as night properly draws in, I'm assuming you'll get your fill of food and drink and the like, and go up and try and take some rest in your bunks. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone feel like they'd have... And this is hanging a lantern on things a bit. Does anyone feel like they would have reason to have disturbed sleep, or the reverse, to sleep deeply, or to maybe even be up late or anything like that?
Obviously, I feel like my sleep probably will be disturbed because of my wound. I imagine I'll wake up in the night a lot. It won't be that it takes me a while to drop off, but I will be
in and out of sleep.
In and out. Yeah,
sure.
I'm pretty exhausted, so I will.
And you're a former soldier, so you just sleep whenever you can. Yeah. How about Anton?
I would not sleep that well, I don't feel, after everything that's happened in the last 24 hours. Yeah, I'd be pretty freaked out, and especially kind of not having Baumella around. Like, I'm kind of surrounded with a company of people who I don't know that well, and we've gone through some pretty weird stuff. So yeah, I definitely have a disturbed night's sleep.
Sure.
And probably only just get a few hours.
Sure. Ascarai, what do you think?
I think I'd sleep fine, but maybe intend to wake up fairly early. But
sure, no problem.
Sleep.
Well then, it is the middle of the night. Anton, you've kind of woken up from an odd dream. You have like a brief remembrance of perhaps skull or something along those lines. Over in kind of a bunk, you can hear Ephenea kind of tossing and turning. She seems like she is kind of dozing, but fitfully, as as is common with people with wounds. Outside the like overhead, you hear a thump, and then you hear a kind of scattering of other thumps, kind of above you and also outside the window.
Could I like do a roll to see what I think might be causing it? Does it sound like footsteps, or does it sound like, I don't know, rocks or arrows pelting the side of the building?
It's difficult to tell from here. You think like, I mean, you could jump. You're quite near the window. You could stand up and go have a look, but you can't really tell from here. But there's certainly odd noises.
Yeah, I'll go and investigate this.
Okay. Do you want to give me
non-suspicious thing?
Sure. I think it'll probably be a flat vigilant roll because it's quite dark outside, but also kind of there's a torch on the wall of the inn, and there's sort of you can see the flame from the shrine is still going, and also the sky seems to have cleared. Kind of the rain clouds have moved from overhead, and it's quite a clear, bright night of stars. So just a flat vigilant roll.
I made it.
Okay. You can't tell whether it was what all the thumps were, but the wall of the inn and the ground outside the wall of the inn has a slight scattering of arrows.
Okay. I'm gonna yell out quickly. Wake up!
I was already awake, so
sure. You can kind of become awake. As Ephenea wakes up, and perhaps the other two are a little slower to rouse, you hear the bell clanging desperately outside, and a torch bursts to life over the gatehouse.
We're under fire. Arrows. Everyone, get your weapons. Get ready.
Oh, would they not let me rest, the bastards? Right, we're all barrel down the stairs and grab weapons.
Are you still at the window, Anton, or is everyone just kind of gathering everything and moving as quickly as they can?
I would have moved away from the window, I think. For
sure.
Reasons.
Yeah.
Gone to get my flail and put on my robes, I guess.
Sure. You can hear Caldra's voice calling from downstairs. Everyone up! Everyone out! In a very kind of practiced drill instructor voice that booms through the inn.
Did they allow us
my axe as like a stick, sort of like blade on the floor, and like just to support me a bit as I walk? But
Sure.
I'll be hurrying as quickly as I can.
Sam, they absolutely let you keep your weapons. Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I'd probably grab my bow and go to the window.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Then you'll get a sense of things before the others as they're still coming downstairs. You can see that that Calder and Tandrag's eldest, she's a girl around maybe 13. She stood on top of the gatehouse and kind of like keeps switching between kind of looking over the palisade and looking back and kind of waving her hands, and she's shouting something, but the window's quite cheap, thick glass, so you can't hear it. Though you can, if you want, open the window.
I would definitely open the window.
Okay. She's shouting, "Goblins! There's goblins out here! They've got a ladder!"
Okay.
You see the others kind of run out below you from the bottom of the inn. Cauldra and Tandrag are already out there. Cauldra has a bow and kind of a short sword side, and Tandrag is kind of fumbling his belt with like a belt that's got like a dagger slid in it. You can see over by the stable that the ogre Mangold is kind of like hunched over to actually get out from under the stable roof, and he's just kind of peeking round up at the gatehouse.
I'm basically going to fall in next to the landlady, and kind of in the sort of military drill style where she's abundantly clear that I'm expecting orders from her.
Sure. Anyone else doing anything in particular?
Have I got time to cast my mystical power, Blessed Shield, or would that be something for combat?
Yeah, no, well, yeah, I think you've got time to do that before we kind of enter in initiative. I think that's absolutely fine. It lasts for a scene, right? So it's through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need
Go
to
for it.
roll against my resolute, so I need 13. I did not make it.
Okay. Well,
I mean, that was the first failure of this session, so
Yeah.
I mean, thank God it wasn't combat.
50-50 so far.
it's traditional by this point, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's enter initiative now. So John, for your information, the only extra individual we need on the initiative list other than our player characters is just list them as goblins, unsurprisingly, and they are at quick 15.
No.
So yeah, all NPCs, I'll like I do with others, I'll just deal with them at the end of the initiative order and just kind of narrate them. What's their do they need a vigilance? Oh yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, their vigilance is. What will that be? That will be -1. Will be 11. But that's interesting, isn't it? Because then if you need to do, because Ascarai having his initiative being set by vigilant is really strong, because not only is his first value, his quick value is vigilant at 15, but also his tiebreaker is 15.
Yeah.
That's really strong.
Ascarai too strong. There's no.
Ascarai OP.
I
Next
think
patch.
probably again I'm going to delay because I don't think I can see a goblin yet.
No, you can't. No. So yeah, we'll enter the thing now. I will say that Coldra shouts up at her girl on the gatehouse, who's evidently called Melga, and says, she kind of shouts, "Are they coming up?" Melga kind of looks over and says, "Oh, yes, they are," and kind of draws a dagger and kind of backs off a bit, but isn't coming down from the gatehouse. So yeah, Ascarai. Are you kind of delaying your action then?
I'm going to delay probably until directly after the goblins.
Sure. Then speaking of the goblins, probably you, but probably not the others because they can't see at the height of the gatehouse. You can see a goblin kind of starting to clamber over the like what evidently must be a ladder on the outside of the palisade. It has a kind of some kind of rusty weapon gripped between its teeth.
How tall are goblins? Just for like.
About between 4.5 and 5 foot.
Yeah, cool. So they're not like small.
No, they're not small. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, that's the goblins. So do you want to go now, Ascarai?
Yeah, if I can.
You can definitely get a shot off on it.
Yeah, if I can see one, I'm going to shoot at it.
Sure. I will give you a penalty because it's quite a distance and it's quite dark and you can kind of only just see its form and the gatehouse is quite in the way. I think it's actually quite a difficult shot to make, so I'll give you a minus, shall we say a -3 to it? Yeah, a -3.
Okay. I miss.
Okay. Your arrow kind of whistles off into the darkness over its head. You're not even sure it knew that there was an arrow there because it doesn't look up, it doesn't seem to register it, and it just carries on clambering.
Okay.
So next up, we've got Ephanea.
So they're still just like up the gatehouse, right?
Yeah. Well, not that you can't see them. But
No.
yeah, the girl is shouting. Melba
they-
is shouting. They're climbing up.
Near the girl? Like, will it once they?
You can't see.
Ah,
You can only hear her shouting that they're climbing up. And you can see her kind of backing off, but not getting down off the ladder, and just kind of holding a dagger out in front of her.
I want to climb up to where she is. I want to protect her because she's only 13. So I'm going to help her fight. I'm assuming that, to be honest, I won't be in range of them when I'm up there. So.
You know what? I think, I think you can make it up. But I think it's one movement to head over there, one movement to kind of clamber up the ladder. So you can swap your combat action for a movement, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'll do then. I'm just going to position myself, basically.
Basically, you clamber up to the you clamber up the ladder and kind of can see now. The gatehouse isn't very big. It can probably only hold maybe 6 people or so standing. There wouldn't be much room then. But you can see kind of there is a ladder pressed up against the palisade. And there is a goblin kind of clambering over it with a kind of rusty, ugly kind of machete held between their teeth. Yes. So let's.
Can I tell the girl to climb down? Sorry, I'm assuming that'd be a free action.
You can shout her to climb down. Yeah, you can take any number of free actions like shouting. Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, look, I've got this. Go get inside where it's safe.
Okay. Steo.
Is there space on that watchtower for 2?
Yeah, there's space for 6 to stand and be unpleasantly confined. So you could definitely go up there and stand alongside F and A. Yeah.
So I'll turn to Marbella, Merflumple.
Definitely Merflumple. Yeah. Who are you referring to? Sorry.
Coldra.
Coldra. Yes, Coldra.
I think I'm not even a little bit similar.
Definitely should have been called Merflumple. I was for Free League.
Coldra, do we repel once they're in or before they're in?
She kind of glances at you quickly and she's readying kind of an arrow and says, "Just keep them away from my daughter."
Fair play. I'll get up the ladder.
Sure. You're kind of just behind F. You're kind of at the beginning of next turn. You will be kind of up over and onto the gatehouse. And Tom.
I think I'm going to stick close to Cauldra. At this point, and I presume I'm already quite near her, and I might try and, if I can, I might try and roll my Blessed Shield again.
Yeah, go for it. I like the idea that in this setting, magic is get it right. Oh, not quite. Again.
I botched.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, it was bound to happen.
This is very, very on brand for me.
Very on brand. So those who watched last week will know that we've instituted kind of the criticals and fumbles alternate rulings. They only seem to really apply in the core book to basically basic combat of hitting or being hit, but I'm going to extend them in a narrative sense to other things. So I'll just make it up on the spot as to what I think it does. Essentially, you presumably have to recite some prayers or some such in order to enact Blessed Shield. You know how when you're in a really weird, high-pressure situation, you just forget weird things temporarily? I'm going to judge that you can't cast Blessed Shield for the rest of this scene. You've literally forgotten the prayer. It's just gone out of your head. I feel like when I said that, you forget random things and you're not quite sure. Just for all our viewers, because I know not all of you will be in your 30s, but just look forward to that. That's something coming. So just be aware that you also may forget how to cast Blessed Shield in your 30s.
Damn. That's how I was going to get through my entire 30s.
It's creeping up. So, maybe he gets the corruption. Oh, that's a nice suggestion from John as well. We'll stick with this one for now, but that's a nice suggestion for future botches. It doesn't trigger, but you get the corruption anyway. That's quite a nice botch. But we'll stick to that for now. We'll stick to a lack of Blessed Shield. How about that? Just take away one of your fun toys. How about that? Yeah.
You might have signed my death warrant.
Well, maybe Muflumple will save you. Yeah. So, okay. So that's. Are you doing anything with your movement action?
Just apart from sticking close to Cauldra, nothing.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go back round. Cauldra is basically kind of like trying to get a good line of sight on the goblins as they come out. And Tandrag has kind of run up to the base of the ladder and is kind of reaching up to try and help Melga down the ladder quicker. They're the only people who are really good. Mangold just looks confused in the stable, kind of like looking at all this commotion that's happening.
Is there any sign of Blackhawk?
No. Give me a... If you're thinking about that, give me a vigilant roll. Although there's quite a bit of commotion and noise, so vigilant at -2.
Sam just shoots Blackhawk.
So, sorry, what was your roll, Sam?
I made it by... I was 1 under what I needed.
Okay, someone's snoring loudly in another room.
I just curse. God, Blackhawk.
So we'll go back around again. So Askarai needs to be... Can you just redo the initiative for me, John, and put Askarai after the goblins just for my own sanity? So the goblin is going to get off the ladder, and there seems to be another one directly behind the first goblin, and they're going to dive over. So Ephania, obviously you've met a fair few goblins in Thistlehold, as has Steo. Yeah. Obviously Urfons is kind of a friend/supervisor to you in the agency. These goblins are, some of the goblins who've come from the work camp are fairly wretched creatures. This one's another level entirely. Its clothes are ragged. Its blade is rusty. There's an odd scent around them. And do you want to give me a vigilant? Well, both Ephania and Steo can give me a vigilant roll, but at -5. Neither of you have alchemy or medicus, right?
Mm-mm.
I think only one person. Yeah, I know Anton has medicus. No one has alchemy, right? I think. Yep. I think how people said they were going to get it, but then they didn't. So.
I got a 1.
Hey,
nice.
You're on mute, Chris. Sorry,
but I'm assuming
I got nothing near close to excess.
Nothing close to it. There is a stink washing off this goblin, Ephania, and you are wise enough in the ways of the world and the rougher places of Thistlehold and your clan's land where you're from to know that it's the stink of a drug called Wild Chew. You're not exactly aware what it does, but you know it's bad business.
Okay.
And you smelled it before, and this goblin clearly isn't thinking rationally.
Right,
its
goblins
eyes
on black salts.
Wide and staring, and it's just coming forward and kind of with a kind of high-pitched giggling noise. So it's
All right, I'm going to since I've asked him this, I'm going to shout down, obviously hoping they can hear me. They can't be reasoned with. They're high on Wild Chew.
And as you shout that, the goblin comes right for you.
Nice.
So, can you make a defense roll, please?
Question.
No modifiers. Yes.
I was going to do my Berserker this round, but it hasn't done yet. So, would my defense just be what it normally is at the moment?
Yeah, if you haven't if it hasn't been your turn to trigger it, your defense will be what it normally is. Oh, also, you've also had some sleep. Everyone can regain 1 toughness. For their overnight sleep, so take that back before
Fabulous.
You get battered. It's just a flat defense roll.
All right, cool. So that is a 9 minus 2, I believe. No, 9 minus 4. Let me check because of my.
You should have it should just be
Yes.
on the defense stat. Because we should have calculated the change it takes.
Yeah, we did. Yes, sorry, that's my bad. 9, come on. Nope, not even a little bit. 17.
The goblin comes to you kind of giggling and screaming and thrashing in the air with its rusty machete. Can you give me a armor roll, please?
Roll. Yes, I can. Hopefully more successful in my defense roll. God, I better invest in some better armor soon. 5.
Oh, okay. Basically, it just kind of catches. Do you wear crow armor?
I do.
Yeah. I mean, this thing is wearing crow armor as well, but far more ragged and pleasant than yours. It's machete. You kind of move backwards, desperately trying to block. It's almost impossible to block something that's this frantic and uncaring about its own survival. And you basically just get nicked sharply on your forearm as you retreat slightly, but nothing too bad. So take 1 damage, please.
Cool, got it.
Okay, so that's the goblins. The other one is kind of coming over the top. And now we have Ascarai. You can definitely get a shot in on either the one that's attacking Ephenea or the one that's coming up the ladder.
I'll go for the one that's attacking Ephenea.
I'd say that you've kind of got the range a bit more now for this. Did I give you a -3 last time? Let's give you a -2 this time from here, I think.
I make it.
Okay. Do you want to give me your damage roll then, please?
Yes, I do. I got 7.
Okay. Out of nowhere, Ephenea, an arrow just thunks into this thing's shoulder. And it briefly looks down at it and goes, and then just carries on thrashing at you. It's a good shot, and it's a very unpleasant wound that's sprouted in its upper arm. But it ain't feeling it.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, dear. So, Ephenea.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Sam, I should say, did you want to do anything for your movement? I'm assuming you're quite liking your position here.
Yeah, I think I've got a good spot, so I'll just stay where I am.
Sure. Sorry, Ephenea.
Okay, cool. So my Berserker Rage is invoked because I'm very angry that a young girl was put in danger and I have been attacked once again. So I'm mad as heck. So I will roll to try and absolutely decapitate this goblin.
Fair. So can you give me your attack roll at a +9, please?
All right, so my attack roll is a 15.
Okay, these things do not give a shit. They are just coming for you like, ah!
That's just like, I don't even have to roll, right?
Literally, you will
like a
hit
20
it.
or a 1.
The only reason to roll is in case you fumble at 20 and then it gets a free attack on you, I think.
Yeah.
So that's literally the only reason to
I got a 19.
Hey,
so
okay.
Right, cool.
Yeah, just go ahead and roll your damage.
Just go ham on my damage, my hamage, as it were. Right. 5, 7.
Oh, have you now gone berserk?
Yes.
Yes.
I said I believe I said
you did say you were intending to go berserk, so go ahead and go berserk. Have a berserk on me.
Beginning of my turn, but
Yeah.
Right. 8, 9, 10, 11 damage.
11 damage. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah. I believe you said you wanted to cut its head off.
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't care about what's going to happen to it. You take one step back, quickly measure, strike, and its head flies over the palisade. Its body slumping to one side, briefly still, and then collapsing over into the courtyard. Steo. Oh, did you want to do anything with your movement action?
You're on mute.
No, I think he was asking
I'm
for
asking,
the movement action.
yeah, sorry, Elle for the movement action. Sorry, that wasn't clear.
Sorry, I got very confused because you said
Yeah, I
Steel
said
and then
Theo
movement.
first. Yeah.
No, I am absolutely staying put because this seems to be where the goblins will first emerge. So
Yep, absolutely. Steo, John made a very good point in that your polearm should have had its long keyword triggered when the goblin maybe came over the top. So instead, do you want to take a free attack on the second goblin coming up?
Yes, please. I didn't call that out because I was under the impression that's only if they're moving specifically towards melee combat with me and they were attacking Ellie.
That's fair enough. I think in this circumstance, though, you're in such
a choke point. Yeah,
a choke point. Yeah.
Okay,
but
here we go.
Free attack on the other one, and then it's your turn.
Nice. That's bonus time.
Nice.
So that's just a flat, or am I getting bonuses here?
+9. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. Oh yeah, I got him.
Yeah, it's just a roll to see if you fumble essentially against these guys.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. D10. 6
damage. Okay, you definitely catch it. It's got kind of a deep groove along one shoulder now where you've caught it. But again, it's just you don't think it even noticed as it's kind of clambering over the top with a battered rough copper hand axe in one hand. And now it's your turn. Do you just want to take another attack on it, or
I do, but I also
do other combat action?
Yeah. I kind of want to use my movement action to get a gist of what exactly is going on behind the palisade here. How many are we dealing with? And is there a shady character at the back manipulating them and passing out choo-choo
Well now. So the view outside the palisade, at a quick glance, you would say that about 30 goblins are dashing around. Some of them are trying to get the gate open. Some of them are trying to climb the walls with their bare hands. That's not working out. They do have the one ladder. Further out on the field south of the inn, definitely out of the range of arrows or anything, a larger group of goblins. Sorry, not large. Altogether, there's 30, is what I'm saying. So there's a group of goblins on the field and a group of goblins trying to get it. Are dancing around a lone, towering figure that stood absolutely still. And can you give me a vigilant roll as well, please?
Probably not. No, that's a failure.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, I'm going to shout this. It's like, okay, so let me do that in character rather than do it. We got a group of 30 in total. 2 groups, one completely off their tits, and the other group is out of range, dancing around something not normal. And then I'm going to make my attack.
This shit. Can't we just fight something regular for once? Please.
Jesus, I wish.
Go ahead and make your attack. +9.
Yep, no bother.
Okay. And give me a damage roll again.
That's a 5.
You rolled 6 last time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Another slice taken out of this goblin between the links of its crow armor, but again, no sign of it caring particularly. Okay, we have. It's a good thing from. Yeah, you know what, Sam? Yes, you should be getting the +9 on your fire as well. You are absolutely right.
Yes,
make it a bit different from. So basically, you're getting you should have got last time a +7, or you're right. But hey, fuck it.
Hasn't made any difference.
No, it was good. It's a good goal. Anton.
Yeah. Is there a goblin within striking distance?
There would be if you. It will take you an entire turn to get on top of the gatehouse. But once you were on top of the gatehouse, only then. They're just coming up that one ladder. They seem to only have one ladder in sight. Not that you particularly can see. You can't see this, but that is the state of things.
I will go up the ladder then, I think, because I think I want to see what's going on with the other group that Steo's just warned us about.
Sure. Yeah, and the sound of something unnatural and etc. etc. I'd like in my head as well the idea that because Antom's a bit less used to, the rigors of physical battle and stuff as well, he's made. I'd like the idea, which you can absolutely nix, that he's just kind of taken a moment or two to kind of he's not.
He's totally useless in a situation like this.
To gather his courage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's woken up slightly groggy, forgotten his words to cast his power, and is now ineffective in combat. So I'm just gonna get to the top of the ladder, get my look out, kind of get my bearings, and maybe be able to lend a hand.
Sure. You get up to the you clamber your way up, and you're kind of stood behind Steo and Ephanea now. Given that you said that you were going to get your bearings, do you want to give me a vigilant roll as well for what's happening beyond the palisade?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I do. I passed that test.
Okay. Beyond the dancing figures around the kind of towering figure standing there is in the midst of these dancing goblins is another figure that looks a little taller than the goblins. They're crouching over a cauldron from which a red mist is rising to shroud the kind of mass of goblins and the two figures back there. Even a glance will tell you that the goblins that are near the cauldron are kind of taking great lungfuls of it and seem to be becoming agitated from that.
Huh.
Nope.
Okay.
So that's kind of the end. Cauldron is still kind of like aiming. Basically, she can see the goblins when they come over, but she can't see the goblins on the ladder. So when they come over, if they're still up, she'll take shots at them. Tandrag has now helped Melga down and is kind of retreating back towards the inn, with one arm around her. The ogre still seeming a bit confused and unsure of what's going on. So we're back round to
Goblins, I believe.
Goblins. The goblin is going to clamber over the ladder and dash forward, cackling and swinging with its axe at Steo. Steo, can you make a good old flat defense roll, please? You're on mute.
Sorry, I failed by 2.
Okay. Then give me an armor roll.
Armor is 1d6, I think. No, 1d8. Nice. 1.
Okay. The cackling goblin works its way kind of around you. You thrust out with your halberd, and it almost rolls along the side of the pole of it, unintentionally. You're pretty sure, and comes up to you and just thrashes and slams the axe. It feels like it only bites part way through your armor on your hip, but you feel like the armor kind of crack. What kind of armor have you got? Just standard medium armor? Chainmail stuff. You can feel some of the bites from kind of the cracked chainmail on your hip as the metal kind of also gouges you along with the impact. Take 5 damage, please.
That has passed my pain threshold.
Is your pain threshold 4 or 5?
My pain threshold is 7, and I am now on 5 damage altogether.
Oh no, pain threshold is just if you take it in 1 turn.
Okay, sorry, understood. Okay.
But yeah, it's done a fair bit of damage to you. So next, and another goblin is climbing to the top of the ladder. At this point, could I say, can everyone on the gatehouse roll cunning?
Mm-hmm. Not that it will get me far.
I probably pass. There's no way it doesn't. Yeah, I pass.
I pass.
I absolutely did not.
Okay. Everyone who rolled cunning, it occurs to you there may well be a way to stop them that doesn't involve killing them one at a time. Because this ladder is not particularly sturdy looking. And perhaps could be tipped off to the side. Quite
just for the record, that was going to be my movement action.
Equally, that was also going to be my movement action. So
it's a combat action to try it, but yes. Okay, so we got one goblin is wounded Steo, another one is clambering up the ladder. Let's have Ascarai with your much changed thing. So I'd say it's still because you've got your you're kind of sighting in on what's going on here, like in the dark and stuff. We'll apply a -1 for that, but also a +9, so you can take a +8, which I'm assuming just means you roll to fumble.
Yeah. The one thing is, would Steo have got a free attack on that one? That just ran?
No, he only gets 1 attack at the beginning of combat.
Okay.
Or 1 attack when things. I think the group of them is now within. Okay. I think is long just 1 attack at the beginning of combat. I think it is.
I believe. I think it would be. I think the letter of it is that I get 1 attack whenever any creature comes into bounds with me. But I think the intent of it is that would basically allow me to be human chainsaw. So it makes more sense that it's.
Yeah, I think it makes sense with this group that you kind of we had to fudge it because I forgot the first time round. But the intent is because as they're coming in, you're stood at the back, kind of fending off the first one that comes over. But once they're coming over, you're engaged, and that's sorry, Sam.
I do not fumble. So
are you shooting at the one fighting Steo or the one coming up the ladder?
Probably the one fighting Steo.
Sure.
And I will roll damage. I got a 10.
Okay. Steo, this thing kind of is cackling and sort of raising its axe for another aiming another blow at your torso when an arrow just takes it in the top of its head. And you're spattered with a small amount of blood and brain matter, and it just slumps down on the side against the palisade with an unpleasant gurgling noise.
Great.
Nice! Ascarai, are you doing anything with your movements or any other kind of free actions or anything like that?
I might shout at Blackhawk a bit.
Sure. Give us what you shout. I'm interested to hear what Ascarai does to rouse a sleeping fancy minstrel.
Useless minstrel, get up! We're all dying out here. Stupid Blackhawk.
Okay, do you want to give me for that? Give me a persuade roll. Let's see how effective Ascarai's imploring is.
My dump stat. I did not make it.
Okay. So we are on Ephanea.
Yes, we are. So, question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually kind of out of character. My plan was literally to tip the ladder, but in character, I failed my cunning roll.
Yeah, yeah.
So should I just?
I think since I asked for the roll, and that's on me. That's on me that I asked for the roll. Since it would feel unjust
cheeky
to the others. Yeah. But you can definitely hack away at the one coming over the ladder.
Okay. Right. Cool. So, is he on his way over the ladder?
Yeah, he's kind of clambering over, half over the palisade.
My aim is to hit him so that he falls off.
Okay. Sure. You know what? Let's do that.
And also, if he might take the ladder with him.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah.
So let's do it. I don't think it particularly has called shots as a game, but we can just do a modifier for that. So let's say, I'd say. So are you actually trying to wound him as well, or are you mainly trying to just knock him off?
I am trying to wound him as well. But
okay. Then let's say that it's well, you know what? We'll make 2 rolls here, shall we? So let's give me an attack on him.
Yes, that's the +9. I'm just rolling to fumble, yeah?
Yeah, give me the attack on him at a +9. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't fumble, so we're fine.
Okay. Can you give me a damage roll, but only your weapon damage, not your extra dice. Just that one, because you're like trying. It's like a specific purpose. You're not like just trying to carve him in half.
Yeah, no problemo. So it will be a D12 because of my Iron Fist, I think, or whatever it is that I've got. Large weapons, whatever. So yeah, I'll roll that.
I think it is Iron Fist.
Yeah. 9.
9. Okay. I'm going to say basically it's kind of scrambling against the palisade to get a grip on the palisade, and you just chop the bottom half of its arm off, and it goes like flying off into the night. And it kind of looks at the stump that's spraying blood all over the wood in some confusion. Give me a strong roll. Let's see if your blow was powerful enough that it unbalanced.
Is it a standard?
Just a
flat strong roll.
Flat strong.
Yes, I make it. 14.
Okay. It's also because basically it was trying to get its balance by grabbing the palisade, and now like the arm is gone and it's just kind of still reaching out to try and grab it, and it just topples backwards with a kind of noise. That noise, you know that noise.
That noise specifically.
The goblin falling off a palisade noise.
Yeah.
The goblin palisade scream from all the movies.
Yeah.
So that's Ephinaea's turn. Are you doing anything with your movement?
Nah, I'm fine where I am.
No problem. Steo.
So, this ladder.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I have two options. I can try and break it, or I can try and topple it.
I think breaking it is more possible given that you have a halberd. Honestly, it's so rickety that tossing it off the side of the palisade with goblins still on it might break it anyway. I think it's fine to kind of combine actions here, because I'm assuming that given that Anton also rolled cunning, that Anton is having the exact same thought.
Yeah.
Do you want to see if do you? I mean, you could even role play it out a bit. Like the two, I'm assuming the two of you kind of looking at each other, and now that a goblin on the top of the ladder, it's easier to get to, sort of thing.
In my head, I could see us kind of like both like looking at the ladder, looking at each other, quick nod, and then both making a dash towards it.
Sure. So you grab the top of the ladder and you kind of heave it and throw it off. So can you give me, you know what? Both give me a strength roll. And I realize this isn't Anton's strong suit. So you know who is strongest? What are your strengths?
My strength is 13.
Okay.
7.
But
okay.
I failed.
You know what? Well, I was going to say, why don't we'll do Steo first, and Steo will get a plus. What do you say yours was? Yeah, he'll get a +2, which I guess means you don't get it still.
Still don't get it. No, 17, 16, 15. Yeah.
Okay. Anton, you get a +3.
Yeah, I don't manage it.
Okay. Both of you kind of heaving, but there are goblins still clambering up it, and they are providing some kind of weighted resistance to this effort. But it's not currently. You can get it slightly away from the wall, but they're still coming up at the moment. So what else we're going to do? So Coldra is now kind of like dashing towards the palisade to try and. She's going to start clambering up. Tandrag and the rest of her family are hanging back, and Mangold is still in the same place by the stable,
being precious.
I love him.
So Askarai, you currently cannot see a goblin.
I feel like I still have a good vantage point, so it doesn't really make sense to move down while they're still probably coming up. I'd probably just stay put, aim, and scan the palisade for anything coming over.
Bow knot.
Silently kill Black Hawk in his sleep. Slit his throat.
Are you shouting for Black Hawk again? Are you shouting for Black Hawk again?
I'm just still like, I'm probably constantly like, fucking Black Hawk.
Sure. Give me another persuade roll and take a +1 to it. Yeah.
Okay.
+1. +1. Yeah, +1's good. Yes.
I actually make it. I rolled a 4.
There you go. You hear a kind of what's going on coming from another room, and like the sound of someone kind of heavily clambering out of bed.
I'll just yell goblins.
So you're saved now.
Yeah.
I really just want him to run and die. That was my plan all along. But,
if I was a more hacky GM, he'd kind of come barreling out of the inn and be like absolute fucking like spinning round and like goblins flying, and you're like, oh, that's subverted expectations. But no, that's not. Spoilers, that's not going to happen.
What if he goes out and sings a song and all the goblins are like, this is the worst shit I've ever heard, and then they just run away? Or they fall asleep. It's fine.
Or fall in love with it. Goblins. So one goblin is climbing to the top of the ladder, but it's not clambering over yet because you kind of got a goblin ahead, if that makes sense. So it's kind of climbing out, going rather desperately. That actually should have happened before Askerite because I got confused, but it's fine. Ephanea, what are you doing?
Well, I'm going to say that since I've now seen them topple the ladder, I can topple the ladder. Well, I can try to topple the ladder.
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that before?
Absolutely. Give me a strength roll at a +4.
Nice. So 19 or under. So hopefully I should be able to do this.
If you fumble, I love what happens next.
10. So I'm fine.
For reference, you would have dashed for the ladder and piled out, gone, oh, but in my head, maybe.
Oh, God.
Yeah, with Ephanea's extra strength, you kind of dash over to the ladder and thrust out kind of one hand braced against the back of your blade. You've got a long sword, right? Oh, no, you've got an axe, right? A long axe. Yeah, with one hand braced against the back of the long axe's head, you just give a hefty blow to it. It's the effort that tips it over the edge, and the ladder collapses backwards about halfway down, cracks straight in half with the weight of the goblins, and smacks into the ground. A couple of the goblins do not get up from underneath it, and the rest of them kind of scamper back. A loud voice comes from the towering figure in the field, which cries, "Useless! Right! Cut down those trees! Ladders! A ram! Faster, I'll have your hides!" Can the three of you that are on the gatehouse give me a vigilant roll, please? That's let's say a -2.
Oh, yikes. Nope.
No.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that fascinating observation will be lost to the mists of time forever.
Back in your box, GM.
That's fine. Back at the inn, Askerai, you can see Black Hawk kind of staggering out of the front of the inn, kind of going, an attack, and holding a spiked club kind of aloft.
I just point out the window and say, get to the wall.
Okay. We're dropping out of initiative now, by the way. Well, there is a time factor. You're not initiativing against the building of a battering ram. So Cauldra is kind of joining you up there as well. And Blackhawk, you told him to do it, so Blackhawk's going to stagger over to the gatehouse. It's worth saying as well, by the way, there is like the palisade. It's not a full-on wall, but there is like a platform, like the platform that is the base of the gatehouse extends all the way around the palisade, all the way around the entire enclosure. So if you want, you can kind of move and like move around the enclosure on like a little. I mean, rampart is far too glorious a word for what it is, but just so to give you the picture. John, do you want to pop up the map while we're? Number 1 there at the south of the picture. That's where the gatehouse is. Number 2 is the inn where you came from. You can get the idea.
Yeah.
If it looks like there's a kind of a lull, I will probably head down to the wall.
Sure.
Just to talk with the others even.
Cauldra kind of scampers up alongside you, kind of takes aim out towards the south field, and then curses and kind of lowers her bow. She turns to you all. I'll say you've all kind of gathered there now, although it's probably a bit crowded on the gatehouse. You can edge along the palisade, and some people could be along there. And she says, "Well, I thank you for your aid. I'm not sure how well that'd have worked out without you."
I'd say I wouldn't get too quiet now. They're building rams and more ladders, so maybe we can expect another attack in the next 5 or 6 days, judging by how wrecked these goblins are.
Can we reinforce the gate? Can we prop wood, beams, anything up against it?
I'm just going to throw this out here because I reckon that's the witch we turned away earlier, and he is already worse for wear. Like, I don't think when you've just sent a load of goblins berserk that the number 1 plan is to get them to engage in carpentry. Oh, I just wanted a night's bloody sleep.
I'll have like kind of sat myself down and leaning against something, and I'm just gonna be like, look, if we've got a little bit of time before this next attack, I am going to need some medical attention because I cannot keep doing this. Now that my berserker rage has died down, I'm feeling it a little bit. My little new nick.
Well, it's a next day, so I think we can. Anton can make some medicus rolls if he wants to, featuring the herbal cures if he wants to as well, which I believe raises it from a D4 to a D6 in terms of healing.
Right.
I'm going to assume, with no disrespect to Steo, that Ephanair is getting seen to first.
I mean, I can only do this once, so I think that I'll just, I don't know, try and make a judgment call on who's in a worse state.
I thought, isn't it once per person per day?
Once per patient, once per patient and day, it says.
Oh,
so I don't know if that means that, I guess it would be once per patient all day.
I think it's just the phrasing of sometimes slightly, only slightly wonky Swedish translation. I think I don't see why you would only be able to see 1 patient per day. I think, yeah.
Okay, in that case, I'll focus on Ephanair first. Maybe I'll have gone to get the herbal cures, which I presume that I stashed next to my bed upstairs.
Sure, yeah. I mean, this here might not be a place to do it. You can hear some kind of bashing attempts at some of the trees stood nearby. I tell you what, any character who thinks they might be thinking about how long you have before the assault, and I guess don't immediately assume that's the case if you have a tactical brain or whatever, even slightly so. Give me a cunning roll at let's say +1. Yeah.
I think I'm just thinking about healing right now. So.
Sure, understandable.
Yeah. I can't, even though I pointed it out in character, I failed the roll.
Sure.
I'll give it a try, but I have great cunning. I don't make it.
No, you know what, Chris? You pointed it out. You don't have to make a roll to then arrive at the same conclusion. It's fine.
So yeah, these guys are woefully underprepared to be engaging in a siege.
How do you do, Mike? Sorry.
I actually didn't roll for it, but I can.
Okay.
Do.
No, you know what? I think. Yeah,
I think I would be more focused on like the medical aspects.
Yeah, but you're thinking about how much time you have, I would assume.
Sure. Okay.
Way perhaps.
Well,
go for it.
I needed to roll 11, and I rolled 11. But did you say it's plus 1?
It is plus 1, so you needed 12 or under. So you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, John says, chatter pointing out that if it was just once per day, it wouldn't mention the patient cap as well. Because then it would have to be one just once a day. Okay, Steo, you already pointed it out. And Tom, it occurs to you that drug-enraged goblins are probably not going to make an efficient workforce. And you've probably got hours before they put something together. I mean, Steo, you are aware that even rudimentary siege equipment already would probably take a number of hours. But realistically, unless these guys have some capability beyond your awareness, it's probably going to be, a morning by the time they've put anything together. So, with that in mind, Anton, are you doing the healing up here or somewhere, perhaps the fire, where there's better light?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it around the fire, somewhere inside.
Okay. So Steo, I'm going to assume that Steo and F&A are going along with that.
Yeah. Support. Try to support both of them a little bit, hobble them along inside.
Is Blackhawk still at the gate?
He's kind of leaning, still drunkenly on the palisade and kind of gazing out on the south field.
I'm just going to shout over and be like, Blackhawk, sir, good sir, please make yourself of use and support a wounded woman. Good sir.
He kind of looks round and kind of slings his spike club on a loop at his side and says, "Of course, always happy to help a lady in distress." He half falls off the ladder as he gets to the bottom of it. Kind of rights himself and holds you up and leads you back to the inn alongside Anton and Steo. Anton presumably helping Steo up a bit, or at least supporting him. Ascarai, you can leave if you want, but before you do, while you're on the gatehouse, you're stood there with Calder is the only other one still there, I believe. Do you want to give me a vigilant roll?
Yes.
Yes, you always want to give me a vigilant roll.
I'll never say no to a good vigilant roll. I make it. Okay.
You can hear a noise coming from the kind of the front of the gate over the palisade, going, "Hey, oi, up there!"
Can I bend over and see?
There's a goblin stood down there, kind of tapping madly on the gate, and as soon as your face comes over, he kind of starts a bit at this hooded mask coming up the side and says, "Quick! I haven't got long. Let me in."
I turn to Calder and say, "There's a single goblin. He wants to come in. He seems to want to talk."
Can you give me a vigilant roll at -3?
Okay. I don't make it.
Okay, never mind. Calder kind of looks over and goes, "What do you think?"
I will do a really good look to check if there's any other goblin in the area.
There are no goblins. All the goblins are either capering around in the field, or they're at, there's a small clutch of trees over to one side, and they're kind of scrapping at those and hacking at them with weapons really not meant for that purpose, and seem to be gathering big branches and trying to hack trees down, while the towering figure sort of doesn't give instructions, but certainly looms.
He's alone. I say we should let him in if he acts
I should mention I should mention the towering figure's voice was it was a woman's voice, by the way, so you know.
He's alone. I think we should let him in and see what he has to say. If he causes any trouble, we can just kill him.
Calder says, "All right, I'll open the gate. You get down there, and we'll see. I'll have my bow aimed at him."
All right. I'll hop down the ladder and get my knife out, I guess, since I'm...
Sure. The gate opens a crack, and the goblin literally like squeezes himself through it. And as it cracks, he kind of he leans forward and kind of peers at you and says, "Why are you wearing? It doesn't matter. Who's in charge?"
I look up at Coldra, but probably don't say. What do you have? Why are you here? What do you want?
Right. Well, introductions, I suppose. I'm Shuglud of the Varaguldru. What's left of the Varaguldru.
I'm asking.
That bastard out there with the cauldron. He needs to die. And the lady probably needs to die as well. But that's more of... she probably needs to die for the world to be a better place. But that bastard has got my tribe in his clutches.
What's he doing?
He's brewing up concoctions. Wild chew, blue drops. He's got them raging. We've got nowhere to go. We've got nowhere to live. So the chieftain decided to make a bargain, a deal with a devil.
And that's why you're attacking?
That's why they're attacking. I'm not, am I?
Well, not yet. Is this man you're talking about a witch?
Yeah. Wobbly. Scrubby beard.
He was here earlier. He himself wasn't in his right mind.
Yes. Well, he partakes of his own concoctions. And he just does whatever she says, and she's after that. He points at the pool of water.
Who is she?
Well, she calls herself Nightblade, but I don't know what her real name is.
She human?
For now.
So, you think if we kill this man, the rest of your tribe will stop?
It couldn't hurt. It's probably even better if you kill her. She's the one giving the orders. And I tell you, she won't stop until she gets in here. She wants it, and she wants it desperately. Water of the Dusk, she calls it. Says it'll heal her. I'm not sure anything can heal her.
All right, well, stay here. I need to talk with the others. We might, although it seems like this really is to save your tribe as much as anything. We're probably as best waiting here and defending from the palisade.
Well, I hope you can save them. That's why I've come in. That's why I've taken this risk. I mean, they'll kill me if they know I'm here.
All right, come inside.
All right. He kind of strides behind you. Cauldra calls out behind him. And that's my inn. Don't be tracking any dirt inside it. He turns around and goes,
Protect them all. They must all be protected.
okay, inside. Anton, do you want to give us some of your fine healing rolls, please?
These God would make them
yes. I fail. Next patient.
Like it is a roll that can just straight up fail. Great.
I've got a roll against cunning, and I didn't roll successfully against cunning.
So that's no healing on Ephenea. I'm assuming Ephenea was first.
Yeah.
Probably, so that's a good start.
But
okay.
I guess. But does it mean I can have another go? Because
you can have another go tomorrow on Ephenea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for now, give us another roll on Steo.
I don't make it.
The only reason you had one job. You had one job.
I mean, on the plus side, you've still got those herbal cures.
Would you like a nice massage just to sort of lessen the pain?
I believe
you just stick your hand right into my wound.
I believe with herbal cures, what you can do now is just apply the herbal cure if you want, and I think it just cures one. Is that correct? I think that's correct.
I think I read that.
So that can be done. So if you feel like one, just having one extra toughness would help you right now, that can absolutely be done. So it's kind of up to you guys and Anton whether you want to just do that and not save it for another roll all the way tomorrow.
I think I'll just lean over and.
You know what? Sorry, I asked you something and then I'm going to interrupt you. You know what? Tandrag is going to come over, and as Anton sees that Anton is kind of struggling to patch up these, and he's just going to take 2 of the herbal cures that he has stocked behind the bar as their own personal supply, and he's going to apply 2 of them to one each to Theo and Ephanair anyway, kind of mumbling, kind of going, "Oh, it's the least we can do. You saved my daughter." And so you both can take 1 toughness, and Anton, you still have your cures. Tandrag has used the inn supply.
Oh.
You've been rescued by an NPC. There is no fate more demeaning in roleplay.
Okay.
It sounds like you've been rescued by the NPC, to be honest, because I'm incapable of rescuing anyone.
Okay, so Ascarai walks in with a goblin.
I do this in a way to try and make clear that they shouldn't just immediately kill this goblin. Kind of like
you're great at making friends, aren't you, Ascarai? Number 1 guy. I hope you've got a great explanation.
He is not drugged and has offered some insight into what is happening.
Shuglud introduces himself to the rest of you and relates the information I said before. Anton, when he mentions Water of the Dusk, that rings a definite bell for you. Water of the Dusk is an elixir commonly prepared by the Church of Prios as a healing agent.
Oh.
You don't know how to prepare it yourself, but it's very commonly done. And what he seems to be suggesting, whether it's true or not, is that Nightblade believes that this wellspring naturally produces Water of the Dusk, which would be, give me a cunning roll at plus 3, and please make it.
No pressure though.
Yeah, I make it.
Oh,
Nice.
If what he's saying is true, and if that is the case, the wellspring may be the most valuable location in Ambria.
Oh.
And on that note, that's the end of our session for tonight. So thank you to our excellent players. Thank you as ever to our wonderful stream manager, John. I'll give a little promo pieces before we do the Q&A stuff. Check us out on our social media at Telling Tales RP. We're on Twitter and on Instagram. Our YouTube is at Telling Tales. All the VODs go there, so check that out if you like. We'll sort out, as always, we'll kind of sort out XP once I calculate the number of scenes in my head, which is more difficult than it sounds when you're just trying to wrap things up. Are there any comments and or questions from the ravening crowd we have in chat before we sign off for the night? If you want to type something up there, then our stream manager John will pop it up for us. If any of our players need to hop off now, then go ahead and do so. Elle's on mute, but she's about to pop off. Not in a kind of Larry way.
I don't know. I mean, I am effing here. Like, yeah, my parents are going to bed, so I'm going to have to excuse myself. But
Bye,
good night, everyone.
Bye,
Adios.
Yeah.
Bye, Elle.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So while we wait for any comments or questions or anything like that, any thoughts from you guys on the session and how you guys cannot catch a break?
Yeah, I was going to say, just theoretically, is there any tactical way we could have handled that worse without setting the place on fire as our first action?
I don't think you had much of a choice. Like, there was one point they were attacking, and you just, did the thing. You defended that point. I don't think there's anything overly.
At one point, I did consider getting the sort of oil that you talked about by the shrine and seeing if I could set fire to it and do something with that. But I just thought maybe I'm not the person to do that.
Yeah, get fire to the ladder. Yeah, the ladder's on fire. Oh, the palisade is made of dry wood.
That's blasphemous. That was.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, bless.
And
I definitely think I'm saving up for Medicus because we need someone who can make goddamn Medicus rolls.
Ladders are always the bane of the party in any RPG. Or ropes. Ladders and ropes. Or huge clawed demon creatures with rudimentary bone crowns and their muscles on the outside of their body. They're pretty bad.
The other thing is, like, you've set the kind of in the first kind of somewhat powerful encounter, you've set the tone for the rest of it. So now every time a goblin comes at me, I'm like, this must be some kind of abominoblin from the seventh dimension of Ultra Hell.
Those goddamn abominoblins.
It only takes like a bad armor roll for them to still do like a bunch of damage with their.
Yeah, it's brutal. The combat's brutal. I love it. It's great. It's good. I mean, you were unfortunately already pretty banged up, so that's
quite
just how it is. But yeah, okay. If we've got no comments or questions, thank you, everyone. One last bit of promotion. We haven't got a set date for it yet, but we have our second series that'll be going live sometime in October. It will be on Monday evenings at roughly the same time as we do this, so kind of 8 o'clock BST. Will it be BST? When do we switch back to GMT? I'm terrible at these things. Either way. October. Yeah, so it may well be then. That will also be end of October. Thank you, John. That will be the system Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Which Chris is very excited about watching. We've got a completely different set of players for that. In fact, can one of the players for that pop up now? And
what?
It's me!
Scamp that he is.
You never saw it coming.
John will be one of our players for Vampire the Masquerade. Our stream manager will still have a stream manager. It will actually be Steve, who some of you who is frequently in the chat and has been in the chat all night tonight, I think. And we'll have some new players as well. Ooh. Some of whom are also in the chat. So there we go. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks again to Players and Stream Manager, and we will see you next week for more Symbaroum, where I'm sure, again, everything will go wonderfully in the dark fantasy land outside of Devakar. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.